Welcome to the Cayman's Island podcast, where we talk all, not some, but all things San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, David Cayman, and in today's show, we're going to get into the curious case of George Kittle. Let's get it. I'm sure, as you're more than likely aware, George Kittle was just extended by the San Francisco 49ers, making George the highest paid tight end in NFL history. Now, when you break down the details of the extension, you're looking at a total value of $76.4 million over 4 years. You got your AAV, your average annual value, at $19.1 million. Guaranteed money of $40 million, an $18.145 million signing bonus for George. And I'm going to be absolutely honest with you guys. I had to wear my George Kittle jersey, man, rep my man George Kittle, one of my all-time favorite San Francisco 49ers players. I love his attitude, man. The reason today's episode is titled The Curious Case of George Kittle is really for a couple of reasons. As I'm sure you're aware, Kyle Shanahan, Jed York, the coaching staff, everyone has really made it clear that this was going to be the off season of tightening things up. It was going to be the off season of making some difficult player personnel decisions, some decisions where finances would be looked at first. If I'm not mistaken, there was even comments around saying things like, we can't keep everybody. We're going to have to be much more firm in our negotiations. Last year, you look at all the contract extensions that were handed out. You look at Trent holding out for more money. He got his deal. Christian McCaffrey holding out for more money. He got his deal. I don't even want to jump into the Brandon Ayuk debacle. So, everybody got paid. Everybody got their bag. And so you're looking at this year knowing good and well that you're going to have to extend Brock Purdy. I mean, it was said. Everyone is completely aware. The 49ers have made it clear they want Brock back. Of course, they tried to walk back some of the things they said a little bit in that we hope the deal gets done and things like that. But when your owner comes out and says we want Brock here for a long, long time, I mean, it's no mystery, guys. Brock's going to get a multi-year extension. What that looks like, no idea, no clue. I'm still of the belief, really do believe, it's going to be in that $55 to $56 million range. If you look at the structure of Kittle's contract, I think it's going to be similar. This is a very team-friendly deal that, dots all the I's and crosses all the T's for George, making him the highest paid tight end in NFL history. It gives him the most AAV, all those good things for him and his agent to boast about, while also giving the Niners cap flexibility and realistically being able to get out of some of this money in the later years of the deal. So it's a win-win for everybody, and I think Brock's is going to be similar. And the reason I think it's curious is because I really thought for a second here that based on what the Niners were saying about tightening up the purse, tightening up the strings, is that I thought that they could trade George Kittle. I want to make it very clear. I love George. I'm glad he re-signed. I really am. I didn't want this to be one of those throwback jerseys in a few years. And I guess where I'm coming from is, guys, what's curious, if you are the Niners, okay, and I want to make it clear, I wanted George Kittle to stay. He's a big part of our offense. He's a big part of our franchise. Love the guy. Want him to be around. Glad he's going to retire a 49er. Super pumped about that. But if you're going to take a hard stance and say, hey, we're doing a soft relaunch, we're doing a mini rebuild, where is that coming from? When are we going to see that? So for me, if you're ownership and you're making those statements, but you extend a 31-year-old tight end, where is this reset? We've brought Juszczyk back. Hopefully Brandon Ayuk will return healthy to form. I mean, we still have a lot of this core, is what I'm saying, outside of Deebo Samuel. We've extended all these old guys. And so if you're making a hard and firm stance to say, hey, that's it, when are we going to see some of that? I'm starting to, I don't want to say not believe what's being said by the coaching staff and the GM and ownership, but are you going to end up taking a hard line, a firm stance with Fred Warner? Is that where this is going to go? I like the fact that we had what I believe is a solid draft in the sense of it went after directly mostly our needs. Didn't really touch on the offensive line, but the draft primarily focused on the holes that we have on the defensive line, just the run defense that's been abysmal. But really getting back to George, reports are that the 49ers were offered a second-round pick for George Kittle. Now, understand, he's the best tight end in football. It just is what it is. He deserves every penny that he received in this contract extension. I'm very confident that someone else would have gladly given him that money to attain his services. Okay? But if you are going to, once upon a time, supposedly make this hard stance and get tougher with negotiations, I'm not seeing it. So, San Francisco, why didn't you take the trade? I've read some reports where it could have been maybe a second-round pick and something else. Again, don't really know if that's going to be a late-round pick. Based on Georgia's production with the other team, maybe it would have been a seventh-round pick the following year. I don't know all the minutia of that detail, so to speak, but I find it very interesting. If you're a player and it's time for you to get paid, to me, the signals, the messages that the Niners are saying and then the actions that they're doing are completely different. So if I'm Brock Purdy, there's no way in the world I'm taking anything less than what I think I deserve. That's the way it should be anyway, okay? The market is really set. Kittle just set a new market for tight ends. Again, deserves every single dime of money. But why the two messages? Why say things like it's going to be a tough offseason? And don't get me wrong, we let some players go, right? We let Talanoa Hufanga go. We let Dre Greenlaw go. Aaron Banks, like I said, Mooney Ward, all these guys no longer on the roster. Maybe essentially that's what they were talking about, those hard decisions. But regardless, the way I took what's been said is, hey, we're going to take a hard, firm line right here, right now. We're not giving Brock what he's asking for. No longer are we going to allow players to dictate what we do and what direction we go. So I just thought that this was a perfect time for the 49ers to stand on business and back up what they said they were going to do. Again, George is my guy. Would have been heartbroken. Completely different tone of this show had they traded away one of my all-time favorite San Francisco 49ers. But where is the message going to line up with the action? I'm perplexed by the fact that this has happened now. I anticipate Brock Purdy's contract getting done very, very soon, or they'll pull one of those right before training camp scenarios where, it's reported that he's going to sign the deal before training camp, or he'll do some type of soft hold in or whatever, where he's there, he's practicing, but he's not going super hard, or whatever form of that deal is getting done. I mean, it's at this point, it's just a wait and see when it is and what it looks like type of situation. I know Fred wants a deal. At some point, they're going to have to draw the line, and I like Fred Warner a bunch too, man, and I hope they don't take that line with him, but at some point, the 49ers are going to have to be about what they say they're going to be about and take a hard stance, take a firm line with someone. And right now, like I said, it's just perplexing that I thought for sure if any time that the Niners were going to break my heart with letting a player walk out the door. I was certainly fearful that it was going to be George. I do think it's going to be a big bounce back year for everybody. Got a super soft schedule. I think Kyle is due, man. I think he's going to get back to, especially without Debo, he's going to have to draw some new stuff up. I'm really hoping that George becomes even more of a focal point of our offense. There's no covering that guy. I would target him even more than I targeted him last season, and perhaps we can get this ship sailing in the right direction. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. Until next time, take care.